So for all you people out there that think President Trump and his supporters are racist, this is my son. This is my son. I love you.
Love you.
So next time you want to talk crazy about Trump and his supporters, think about this. Who's our president, CJ?
Donald Trump.
Who do we like, Trump or Biden?
Trump.
That's right. So whether you like Trump or hate Trump, just know that this is a representation of Trump. People that love each other, people that love our country, people that want to see America great, people that like our freedoms. So next time you guys want to put nasty stuff on Trump supporters, just remember this. Father and son. Love you.
Love you.
All right. Have a good one.
Umbrella. She's up. She's up. Whole nother level of shit you can't even understand.
What is good, my people? We are live back again with another episode of The Forecast. Now, first of all, I know I've been gone for a little minute, but I had to take care of some personal family issues and dealing with a tragic situation. And when I come on here, when I speak, I try to let the spirit of the ancestors speak through me. And some personal issues was kind of blocking that connection. But understand, it's never going to stop, and I'm never going to stop until this system is destroyed. And now that I'm back, I'm going to start this over like I'm just beginning. And this time, I'm going to go even harder than I did before. And I want to thank everybody still showing your support, still watching the videos, still checking on me. And shout out to my sister, Wanda Chavis, for holding it down the whole time. I appreciate you, sister. But now that I'm back, I'm going to go even harder than I did before. Because we got to understand what we're dealing with. Now, sometimes we talk about our own mental health, and we need to a lot more. But we don't talk about their mental health. We are dealing with a bunch of sociopaths and psychopaths. Nobody builds an empire out of bloodshed, destruction, death without being some kind of a psychopath. And the one thing about psychopaths and sociopaths, they don't have empathy. So how could you ever reason with somebody like that? If you ever talk to somebody with a disorder like that, what do? They gaslight you. They tell you what you're saying isn't real. You're crazy, even though you have evidence. And in our case, hundreds of years of evidence. They smear the victim, and we all know how that works. They lie, they deflect, and they have no problem lying, cheating, stealing, or even killing. And one of the most important things that they have to do is to make you think that you need them when in reality, they need you. So they will do whatever to keep you in your place. And there's no rehabilitation because they don't believe that they're wrong. In fact, they tell you that you're wrong. And if they repeat a lie enough, then not only would they believe it, we start to believe it. I mean, look up the signs of psychopathy yourself. Socially irresponsible, disregard or violate the rights of others, and they constantly violate your boundaries. That's what they do. That's what they have to do, to destroy your boundaries and to make you think having boundaries is wrong. To make you think saying stop killing me makes you the racist person. So how could you ever reason with a person like that? Why would you want to? Why wouldn't you want to build your own society to hold whoever disrespects you, harms you, or whatever accountable, instead of being in a society built by psychopaths? In Ohio, a young 23-year-old brother, Casey Goodson Jr., was shot in the back 6 times in front of his 5-year-old little brother and his grandma as he walked into his home for no reason. Now, let's go back and try to figure out what happened to this brother.
The Justice Department says it will join the investigation into the controversial police killing of a black man in Columbus, Ohio. 23-year-old Casey Goodson Jr. was his name. He died after a sheriff's deputy shot him on Friday afternoon. Now, Goodson's family says that he was shot in the back at his own home. Authorities say that Goodson refused an order to drop a gun. Jeff Pegues is at the Justice Department with more on this story. Jeff, good morning to you. It's a song that we've heard many, many times, but in this particular case, why are the federal authorities getting involved now?
Well, Gail, the Justice Department is reviewing the details of this case, which, as you note, are in dispute this morning. But the Goodson family, they want concrete answers as to why the 23-year-old was shot.
My grandson just got shot.
On a call with 911, Casey Goodson's grandmother says her grandson has been shot as he entered their home.
I just heard the gunshots and I would get up and he's laying in the door.
The family says Goodson had just arrived home with sandwiches. Just moments before the shooting, Goodson was spotted by a sheriff's deputy who was working as part of a U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force conducting a search for a suspect in the neighborhood. Goodson was not the target of the manhunt. Authorities say Goodson was seen waving a gun as he drove by.
The deputy, at some point after that, he confronted him, and it went badly.
Police claim Goodson then got out of his vehicle and was ordered to drop his gun. And when he failed to comply, the deputy opened fire. Law enforcement has stated at least one person heard that verbal command, and they say a gun was found at the scene. But Goodson family attorney Sean Walton disputes that chain of events, saying no one from Goodson's family heard any confrontation and that the 23-year-old was killed in front of them, including several children.
Casey was executed while walking into his own home. And that's something that, curiously, was left out of the initial statement.
Goodson's family say that they did not see a gun on Casey. They also say he had no criminal record and was a legal gun owner and concealed carry permit holder.
The question that needs to be answered immediately is why was Casey shot? For having a gun when he had every legal right to do so.
In an interview with CNN, Goodson's mother says she feels race played a part in her son's death.
Because of the color of our black man's skin, they're not protected. They become targets instead of somebody that they have to protect.
We are hearing from our Columbus affiliate that the autopsy results are expected to be released sometime this morning. The sheriff's deputy who is accused of firing the fatal shot is a 17-year veteran. He's been identified as Jason Meade. Anthony.
Jeff, thank you very much. So many questions in this case. Can't believe we're looking at this again.
I can't either. It's getting very old. But as you said, there are a lot of questions and a lot because the family says there was no gun. They said he was holding sandwiches. There's a big difference between a sandwich and a gun. I don't know what the police officer saw. And we don't know what even led to the confrontation, really.
No, the bigger picture is this happens disproportionately to black men versus other men, and that's why it keeps coming up.
Problem. And the other big question is he was entering his own home.
Yeah. Relatives say 23-year-old Casey Goodson was holding Subway sandwiches, not a gun, when he was fatally shot by a sheriff's deputy Friday in Columbus, Ohio.
Say his name!
Over the weekend, mounting anger.
And he deserves better. His family deserves better, and they deserve justice.
Authorities say SWAT team members had just finished an unsuccessful search for a suspect when Goodson drove by waving a gun. An authority for Goodson's family disputes that.
The family believes that was totally outside of his character.
Although Goodson was not the suspect the SWAT team was looking for, the Deputy Jason Meade, a 17-year veteran, later confronted Goodson outside his home. Police say there was a verbal exchange and that the deputy shot and killed Goodson.
Prediction is that it was a justified shooting. However, this deputy will be investigated.
Police say a gun was recovered at the scene, but haven't said exactly where. Goodson's family says he had a concealed carry permit and are demanding answers. They say he was shot in front of his grandmother and young siblings after coming home from the dentist.
The family believes that Casey was an innocent man gunned down as he entered his own home.
Late today, the Columbus Police Department turned over the investigation to state officials. No comment yet from the deputies' union. He wasn't wearing a body camera, wasn't required to.
Now, this young brother was minding his own business, coming home from the dentist with some Subway sandwiches for his little brother and his grandma. Meanwhile, the local gang force was out looking for somebody else completely unrelated, and they said they never found the person anyway. But this cop, Jason Meade, claimed he saw this brother riding past them, waving his gun in the air, as if somebody would really be doing something like that. And this brother was a legal gun owner, had a concealed permit, goes through the correct channels to buy a gun, and he knows the rules to a gun, so I don't see why he would just be riding around in his car waving a gun in the air. But like we all should, he may or may not have had a gun on him. Because you never know when one of these psychopaths is going to attack you or say you did something wrong, or you just don't bow down and listen to them and do what they say. But either way, this brother was legit. I don't know how they even started to come into contact or what kind of interaction they had. And of course, this cop had no body camera. But this cop, Jason Meade, claimed he repeatedly told his brother to drop his gun, and he refused. And the police even say witnesses heard him, but they haven't shown one witness, and nobody would say that they heard it. And the only people who could have heard it was his family, and they say they didn't hear anything but gunshots. But the police claim as soon as he got out of the car, that's when his altercation happened. But this brother was able to get out of his car, walk across his neighbor's yard, walk across his own yard, and put the key in the door. Now, the cop said he was refusing to listen to his orders, but this brother was walking into his house, so this cop decided he had no other choice but to shoot this brother 6 times in his back as he was walking into his own house in front of his 5-year-old little brother and his grandma.
I seen the pictures of my son's back. He blew a chunk out of my son's back.
Tamala Payne talking about the bullet wounds left after Franklin County Sheriff's Deputy Jason Meade shot and killed her son, Casey Goodson Jr. She and her attorney now sharing new information about the December 4th shooting.
NBC4 Carrie Charles was there as the two spoke with host of a nationally syndicated radio show. We're talking about The Breakfast Club. Carrie, you very emotional, and I will never forget that mother's cries the night she found out, or the day she found out that her son had been killed.
Yeah, that's right. It's been a long road for her here. She told us that her son was shot 6 times. Tamala Payne says she was shown a photo of her son's body riddled with gunshot wounds. That photo provided by a medical examiner hired by the family. Her attorney detailed the findings during an interview today with the radio program, The Breakfast Club.
We thought that he was shot in the back a few times. Casey's grandmother saw 3 gunshots, but we spoken with the county coroner that performed the autopsy, and Casey was shot in his back 6 times, 5 times in his back and once in his butt with a high-powered rifle. And he was shot through his screen door as he walked into his own home. He was shot from behind. His keys were in the door. He had Subway in his hand, and so it was a cold-blooded execution, and Casey was murdered, and the world needs to know that.
I did reach out to the Franklin County coroner. Dr. Anahi Ortiz would only say coroner reports are taking between 12 to 24 weeks from the time of autopsy to be finalized. I spoke with Walton and Payne following their initial interview this morning. She says she is opting against publicly releasing the photo of her son's body because she has younger children, doesn't want them to see that image. Remember, Goodson was the oldest of 10 siblings. Payne does worry that photo could be released should the case go to trial. I asked her what these last 68 days have been like.
I mean, it's a hell, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, sometimes I still don't even grasp the fact that Casey is gone. He was 23 years old, he was responsible, he was a grown man, but he was still a big kid at heart. And he was an awesome kid, and he didn't deserve this.
Today, Franklin County Sheriff Dallas Baldwin released a statement to NBC4 saying he wants to emphasize that criminal investigations over the years have shown that the physical location of gunshot wounds alone don't always tell the entire story of what happened. You can read the full statement, including how the sheriff says he will hold any of his employees accountable should any evidence ever show wrongful use of force.
Congresswoman Joyce Beatty tells us she is personally monitoring the investigation into Casey Goodson's death, which she called tragic and a travesty. She says it is important for everyone to remember that while a U.S. Marshals task force was conducting an operation in Goodson's neighborhood, he was not the target.
This young man was not the subject of anything other than coming home to be with his family.
Coming home from the dentist, according to his family, with food in hand.
And this young black man going into his home with sandwiches in one hand, a key in his hand to open the door. And if he had anything else in his hand, I still believe that's not a threat. How could that be a threat?
Pictures shared by his mother show the key in the door and the sandwiches.
I've talked with his mother multiple times. I'm following everything. I'm flying home to make sure that I am in the district as we deal with this issue.
Beatty will be part of a weekend protest of the shooting death and what she calls a flawed investigation.
Because federal investigators are involved, are you getting any insight into how long this investigation might take or where the investigation heads next?
I believe, and I'm being very careful to say what I believe. I believe this took too long because I have heard from experts that part of the problem is, again, there was a misstep, that it took too long. So now you have divisions of law enforcement to say they want hands off because it's been too muddy.
Beatty says the case is getting national attention. Other members of Congress are asking how they can help. She says by finding a way to stop cases like this.
We have to make sure as we put Casey's face on this, that maybe it's the face that will bring us together. Maybe it's the face that will help us fight for justice. And certainly his mother wants that justice, wants it brought to justice for her son.
Now, of course, the first thing the police is going to say is they recovered a gun, but they won't say where the gun was, if he was holding a gun, or anything like that. And all this brother had in his hand was some Subway sandwiches and his keys to open the door. And with no body camera, the police aren't even clear on how the altercation or confrontation started in the first place. Now, of course, you got to watch how they word it, because that's another thing people like that do. They word stuff in a certain way. They tried to say this brother got shot in the torso, but they didn't say he got shot in the back of the torso. And he got hit 5 times in the back and once in the butt. And the shots went through the screen door. And before they even start investigating, the cop on the scene, who was the spokesman, was already justifying the shooting. They don't even know what happened, but he was on scene justifying the shooting from the beginning. Just like sociopaths and psychopaths do, they have no problem changing their story in the middle of it, because they realize how ridiculous it is to say somebody was riding around waving their gun in the air. So then the cop said he saw he had a gun when he got out of the car. Now, it doesn't matter Ohio is an open carry state. We saw that with Tamir Rice. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter this brother had a concealed permit, because a black man with a gun is always a threat in America and around the world, really. But of course, they had to corrupt the case before they passed it along. But by then, the DA, the general attorney or whatever, he wanted no parts of it, because it took them 3 days just to give him the case. And there's no telling what they did in those 3 days trying to clean it up.
The Franklin County coroner has completed the autopsy of Casey Goodson Jr. It confirms 6 bullets struck the 23-year-old in his torso. This right here is a copy of the coroner's report. Attorneys for Goodson's family made it public late this evening.
And what we can tell you from our initial review of the findings of this, and we've got to tell you, Carrie and I have had this for less than 20 minutes. The coroner details each gunshot wound. All of them are to the back. 2 of the entrance wounds are listed as being mid-back, 2 left back, and 1 to the right side of his back, also 1 to the right buttock. So again, all 6 bullets to the back of his torso. In addition, the coroner says there were gun fragment wounds to the backs of Goodson's arms. All of the wounds are described in great detail in the post-mortem examination. It describes how the bullets entered his body, the internal damage they did. Also released today, the toxicology results. Goodson's blood was negative for more than a dozen drugs. He did test positive for nicotine products and positive for cannabinoids. However, the cannabinoid level was listed as LOQ. What that means is limit of quantiation. Essentially, the level was so low it cannot be quantified. It can be detected, but it is not measurable.
Now, you'll remember last month I actually sat down, spoke exclusively with Casey Goodson's mother, Tamala Payne, and one of her attorneys, Sean Walton. They told me that the result of a private examination that they had conducted, that it showed the information that we just reported to you. At the time, they said they saw a photo of the body. It showed 5 bullet wounds to Goodson's back and his buttocks. Now, Goodson was shot and killed as he entered his family's home on December 4th. He just returned from a dental appointment, walking in the door with Subway sandwiches for his family. Franklin County Sheriff's Deputy Jason Meade killed Goodson. He said Goodson pointed his gun at him. Initially, investigators also said that Goodson waved his gun at members of a U.S. Marshals task force who were in the North Columbus neighborhood. They were looking for a suspect, not Goodson. A week later, there were also some questions between the U.S. Marshal's office and the Sheriff's office about which agency Meade was actually working for at the time of the shooting, and of course, what actually happened between Goodson and Meade. So many questions because they were the only two there on the scene.
3 months after Casey Goodson Jr. was shot and killed by a Franklin County Sheriff's deputy, more details are released about exactly what happened that day. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Andrew Kinsey.
And I'm Yolanda Harris. Tonight, the Goodson family attorney released the final autopsy report from the Franklin County coroner. Now at 11 tonight, 10 TV's Richard Solomon spoke with the attorney and Casey's mother about what this means for the investigation.
Jason Meade took my son's voice from him. He was my son. He was my firstborn child. He didn't deserve this.
Tamala Payne and family attorney Sean Walton spoke with me after Walton released the final coroner's report. The report shows Casey Goodson Jr. was shot 5 times in his back and once in buttocks. His mother saying the report should prove as to why Franklin County Sheriff Deputy Jason Meade should be criminally charged.
The doctor that performed the autopsy is telling you where the bullets went, what the bullets did, how the bullets went in. She's giving you the facts right there.
Goodson Jr. was shot by Meade in Columbus on December 4th. He later died in the hospital. In the report that Walton released, it showed the examination was done back in December.
Why release this now?
We need strict action, swift action from Sheriff Baldwin. We need accountability.
10 TV reached out to the sheriff's office following this report. Sheriff Dallas Baldwin released this statement saying, the coroner's report today doesn't provide all of the facts needed to give those answers. Then later saying, when and if credible evidence shows that one of my employees failed to abide by that policy, I will hold that person accountable. But Payne told me she believes this is all the evidence needed to convict Meade.
I believe that the coroner's report brings awareness. I believe it brings the truth. My son was murdered. I mean, that's clear.
The U.S. Justice Department is leading this investigation.
Now, this young 23-year-old brother, Casey Goodson Jr., didn't have a record. And he did everything legit, so it's pretty hard to smear him, but they still try to find a way. They even try to bring up a little bit of weed that was barely detectable in his system, so low they couldn't even measure it. But of course they had to bring something up. And of course the police waited a couple days, probably contaminating the investigation before trying to pass it along. And then of course none of them have anything to say. And as for this cop Jason Meade, this white boy calls himself a Baptist preacher. This white boy preaches at his own church with a congregation of around 80 people. And he literally uses his faith to justify shooting people. He preaches sermons how he's honored to go out and hunt people for a living, thinking he's entitled and somehow it's his right to go out and harm other people. And he's justified in doing it and using his faith to justify it. In one of his sermons, he called it a righteous release. And that's sociopath, psychopath, any of that kind of stuff behavior. And I just hope we as a people aren't praying to the same God as him. Because this not even the first deadly police shooting this white boy has been involved in. But he's still able to go out there and carry a gun and protect the same neighborhoods, quote unquote, protect. And shoot people under the guise of his religion. That's why at the end of the day, we have no choice but to protect ourselves and to protect each other. You can't change psychopaths. You can't reason with the sociopath. They don't think they're wrong. They try to convince you that you're wrong. And at the end of the day, we have to realize we are all we got. We can't go up in their system and change it. Just like you can't take the roots out of a tree and expect it to survive. At the end of the day, we are all we got. And until we learn that, then the same thing will happen over and over and over.
No.
An investigation is now underway in Texas after disturbing allegations of bullying and abuse against a middle schooler. After the mother of 13-year-old Samarion Humphrey says her son endured being slapped, shot at with BB guns, and even forced to drink urine by former teammates of his football team during a sleepover. Joining us now is Samarion, his mother, Summer Smith, along with her attorney, Kim T. Cole. Thank you all for being here. Samarion, I'd like to start with you. How are you doing, and how did you end up going to that sleepover?
I'm doing better. I love the support and stuff. So when it came to it, one of the boys, he invited me over during lunch, and I asked my mom, and she was kind of skeptical at first, but then I just begged her for an entire week, and then I guess she just kind of, she talked to the dad, and then we thought it was a good idea, so.
And are these people who had bullied you before, or you thought that they were friends?
Can I cut in on this? Is that okay?
Of course.
Okay, so what it is we're talking about 5 different people, right? So there was only one that was his friend that he was thinking was his friend. Him and this friend had been over, several times, weeks leading up. It wasn't, they were football together, previous 2 years about, and then he's never had any problems with that particular guy. That particular guy has been nice to him, befriended him, they played the game. So he had no other knowledge of the 3 boys that had previously bullied him coming to that party on that Saturday.
As a mom, how do you feel that your son is doing, and what have the last few weeks been like for him?
The last few weeks have been absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible. He thought that this person was his friend. He trusted him. He told me with his own mouth that he didn't know how to feel. He was disappointed. He couldn't believe what had happened. And I honestly believe he's still processing it all, because ever since, Tuesday, the story just kind of took off, and we haven't even had time to figure things out or have the tough conversations that we need to have, because everything happens so fast. But the love and support and that everyone has showed him during this time has made a huge difference. I will say that.
And Samarion, I'd like to ask you in your own words, if you're able to kind of walk us through what happened that night. You think that you're going to a friend's house for a sleepover, and then what?
And then these boys, they came over without my knowledge. And then one of them, who I thought was my friend, reassured me that it was all going to be okay, that we had no hard feelings. But I knew that something was going to go down, because the type of people that those boys were, they are not good people. And then, so we were playing video games, and then we go outside. That's when somebody's idea to have, to all get shot at. So I went so they all started shooting at me. I didn't have a BB gun at this time. They all started shooting me. And then one shot me in my privates, and then they just pelted me all over my body, and then I just felt I was hurting. And then we go back home, and then I was tired, so I went to bed. And then I went to bed, and then throughout my entire sleeping, or slept, they were assaulting me by hitting me and slapping me. And then one of the boys, they woke me up, and then he told me that I wasn't breathing and that I needed to drink this water. And now I have a hard time going to sleep in the first place. So I was very dazed and I didn't know what was going on. But they all urinated into a cup and then they made me drink it.
At any point, were you able to get a parent, or were you able to call home and say that you wanted to leave?
I was asleep. I did not know any of this even happened until multiple days after.
She said she got medical problem. You don't have to serve her if you don't want to.
You can't even see how I'm looking at you, sir. I have sunglasses on. You can't even see how I'm looking at you. I have sunglasses on.
Yeah, did I guess?
You just said I don't look at you like that. How do you see how I'm looking at you?
Excuse me, can you just serve her? If you don't want to serve her, let you go. If you want to serve her, serve her. If not, let you go.
Take her out.
Ma'am, hello, ma'am. He's not going to serve her, so please leave.
Why? Because he's a bitch ass nigger?
No, excuse
me.
Hello,
That's what he is.
Hello, now you need to go.
That's what he is.
Excuse me, ma'am. Hello, ma'am, you need to go. Let me call the cop because this may have been very disruptive now.
It doesn't affect me that you're not going to serve me because you're a bitch.
Are you just calling him a nigger? That's what you just said?
I can call him whatever I want. You got the double mask on your face, right?
Yeah, what's wrong with that? Coronavirus.
What coronavirus?
You don't think
how many people died of the flu?
You don't think coronavirus is real?
How many people died of the flu?
How many people died from coronavirus? What?
Are you Antifa?
Am I Antifa?
You're Antifa?
What does Antifa mean?
Are you not MAGA?
What does Antifa mean?
It's the opposite of MAGA. Do you know what that means?
I'm not MAGA.
No, you
no.
don't? You're not MAGA? How many black guys have you fucked?
What?
How many black guys have you fucked? She doesn't fuck black guys because she's smart.
That doesn't have to do with anything that I said, honey.
Because if you're into Black Lives Matter, why don't you fuck black guys?
That doesn't have to.
Why don't you have some black babies and have them get taken by ACS?
What's that got to do with what's that actual fuck?
Why? Because I get black kids taken away from me just like black women do. Do you know what equality is with that? Or are you too busy dressing up like idiots? Spitting at people? I'm spitting at people? Are you serious? Did they call the cops on me if I was spitting at people? No, they didn't. They're lying, and I'm going to sue them for making up allegations. You're not. No, I am allowed to. Officers, I am allowed to shop here. I have a disability. I have a disability. Okay. And I am not going to be harassed in every single store I go to just because I need to get food for my children.
It's not because of your disability, all right? It's because...
No, these people are making false allegations. I did not spit at anybody. That's insane. If I spat at anybody, they could have called the cops and had me arrested. They didn't. Where's the police report? They don't even know my name. Do they even know my name? No, they don't. Officer, please uphold my rights and let me buy food here for my child. I am not running around this store trying to get kicked out when I could go to another store. Okay? I don't have time for this.
We are back now with that video of an incident at a bakery when a New York woman used a racial slur against a young man after she refused to wear a mask in the store. Kenneth Moten, who spoke with that employee, and he joins us now with more. Good morning, Kenneth.
Good morning, Robin. We've seen violent encounters over mask and pandemic fatigue, but this incident reached a whole other despicable level, and it was all caught on camera. It's the shocking moment a white woman said this to a black bakery worker in New York City.
Why? Because he's a bitch.
The video, recorded by a bystander, showing the woman denied service by the employee after refusing to wear a face mask.
You can't wear a mask, sir.
Why can't you wear a mask? Security at the scene attempting to de-escalate the situation, but things took a turn when the woman hurled a racial slur.
Ma'am, he's not going to serve us, so please leave.
Why? Because he's a bitch.
That's
what he is.
The woman doubling down on the racist insult next to children that appear to be with her. This morning, the man behind the counter, 30-year-old Victor Kamara, is speaking out.
I was kind of sorry about the situation. I was kind of, appalled by it as well.
For a black person, we know that the N-word has a way of really, it strikes you like a lightning bolt.
Did it make you take a step back?
I was like, why would you call me that? You know what I mean? And especially having kids that are mixed, you know, why would you use those words?
Kamara says while he was trying to calm the situation, he appreciated those who stepped in. In a statement, the bakery is praising Kamara, saying, "We stand with all our employees and thank Victor for handling the situation of hate and bigotry with professionalism and grace." Adding, anyone who uses racism and any insensitive language simply is not welcome in our stores. But incidents like these caught on camera all too frequently are an unfortunate reality for many. 22-year-old Maya Ponsetto is now facing a new lawsuit after attacking a black teenager at a New York City hotel back in December.
This is my phone. Show me. No.
You don't have to explain nothing to her.
Take the case off. That's mine. Literally, get it back.
Are you kidding me? You feel like there's only one iPhone made in the world?
No. Okay, then show me the.
No, you get a life over there. No, what's on your background? You better go use find my iPhone. Go do that.
Find My iPhone is on.
No, you can't. No,
I'm the manager of the hotel.
I don't care.
He will
this
right
is my
now.
son. Hey, did you see me just come downstairs out of the fucking elevator?
I'm trying to help. Man.
No, but you're not helping. What you've been is disrespectful.
No, I'm trying to settle the situation.
My son has nothing to do with her.
No. I'm trying to figure out what's going on in the lobby. Then show me the proof. No, he's not leaving. Show me the proof.
Are you kidding me? You better get on.
I need you away.
Let's go, kid.
I need you away. I'm sorry.
Better get on. We have you see two black people.
No, I'm not letting him walk away with my phone.
Wait. You better get on somewhere.
No, please get my phone back. I cannot not have my phone.
Listen, get your ass off.
I apologize. Can we move on?
I feel like her apology was, as genuine as when she shushed you.
You're 22. I get it.
Enough.
It said a lot. I have an issue with the idea of entitlement versus character.
Well said.
It's all been tragically consistent. I'll just say that.
The parents of 14-year-old Keon Harold Jr., who was falsely accused of taking 22-year-old Mia Ponsetto's phone at a hotel in New York City, are speaking out following Mia's bizarre interview with CBS this morning.
Yeah, I apologize. Can we move on? Those were the exact words that she used with you. Does that sound like an apology? She knew she assaulted a 14-year-old boy, not a guy, not a man.
Ponsetto falsely accused the 14-year-old boy, Keon Harold Jr., of stealing her phone, ultimately tackling him in an attempt to get the phone back. Let me note, her missing phone was later found at the hotel. Harold captured the alleged assault in a 1-minute video posted to his Instagram, and the whole thing was also documented on the hotel's surveillance camera.
You see two black people?
No, I'm not letting him walk away with my phone.
The clip went viral. Ponsetto was dubbed the Soho Karen online, and last week she sat down with Gayle King and her attorney for a virtual interview, just hours before she was arrested in California by the New York City Police Department.
Basically, I'm a 22-year-old girl. Racism is, how is one girl accusing a guy about a phone a crime?
You're 22 years old, but you are old enough to know better. So I will say you're 22. I get it.
Enough. The hotel did have my phone. The hotel did end up having my phone. It didn't seem as if my accusations really bothered the son and the father, because they were just enjoying a nice meal right after this whole encounter. But all I'm saying,
I don't know if you,
is I want this to be over, and I'm sorry.
Whether they were
so I would love to
your,
make this short and sweet, Gayle.
Yeah, she gave Gayle sass over.
You're 22. I get it.
Enough.
And over again.
When you looked at that video, what did you think? What did you think, Mia, when you looked at the video?
You already asked me that in the beginning of the interview. I'm not going over it again. I would like to have a real interview with real questions and real heart and real sincere apologies. Let 2021 be the moment of healing. Seriously.
Last week, when ET asked her attorney Sharon H. Gata about the sit-down, Gata explained, quote, "I started to question her well-being, and I am genuinely concerned for her mental health at this point. I told her to stop. I was adamant. I was stern, and she was making me feel uncomfortable and everyone else feel uncomfortable, and it was enough."
The total amount is $1,200, and that is certainly not what we agreed to. He told me, officer, tell me your name.
Laverne. Officer Laverne, this is what happened. I called them up. I told them what I had. I've done this several times. I have moved this furniture multiple times. So I called him. I asked him how much. I told him what I had. He said it's a 2-man crew and that it would take about 3 hours. He actually had to call one of his friends to come because it was taking so long. And it's because, I'm telling you, they didn't come and look at the furniture.
Okay, that's,
he asked me.
but that's not, that's...
Yes, actually, that is what usually happens, but that didn't happen.
That may not happen with this company.
Yes, but you can't do that and then expect me to pay all of this. I wasn't
If
expecting
it takes longer than expected, yeah.
But that shouldn't have happened because they should have had more people.
Well, okay. Bottom line is if you don't pay them for the services tonight, you will be arrested.
You're saying you're arresting
Yes.
me for, but that's not what we agreed to.
You can explain it to the judge.
Well,
The charges are $110 an hour for 11 hours.
For 11 hours?
That's why they're getting the. That's where they're getting the plus $75.
Okay, so tell them to write that down on here and give me a statement.
I don't have anything that proves to me that my stuff is insured, like what's going to happen when it's damaged. Alex, I'm really upset that here's what we have come to. We've come to a policeman threatening to arrest me because...
That's not a threat.
No. Yeah, well, a policeman saying that he's going to arrest me, a misdemeanor, because I am saying that he's saying that my property is damaged.
Okay.
So that's a separate issue.
That is a separate issue.
But
The
yes,
issue at hand right now,
why are you yelling?
because you're not listening.
No, I am listening.
No, you're not.
No, I am
No.
listening.
Okay, you're under arrest.
Why am I under
You're under arrest because you're not paying them. So you're under arrest.
I will pay them. I will pay them.
Are you going to pay them?
Yes.
Then
You
get
know
it done.
what?
Pay them.
This is just really...
Get them paid
I
now.
cannot even believe this.
Get them paid.
Okay, that's fine. You know what? I need all of this.
Alright.
Okay.
Alright, I'm gonna hang up if you take the payment, and then I'll also get the case number because I want to get a police report whenever it's finished. Alright.
The school teacher's racist outburst against a student and parent. Caught on a Zoom call, the teacher apparently thought she had hung up. Now there's a recording and a lawsuit. ABC's Zareen Shah joins us from Los Angeles with more. Zareen, good morning.
Good morning. With the family's lawyer says, like so many single moms, this mother was just trying to make ends meet. She had to cut off Wi-Fi and cable right before the pandemic, and then they struggled to get a school-issued hotspot to work. So she talked to the teacher about her son catching up and then accidentally catches the teacher going off on a racist outburst. This morning, a Southern California community outraged after a 6th grade teacher's racist outburst.
I mean, his parents, that's what kind of piece of they're black. He's black.
A Palmdale teacher finishing Zooming with a parent back in January when it appears the teacher did not end the call and sounded off about the mom.
Your son has learned to lie to everybody and make excuses because you taught him to make excuses that nothing is his fault. This is what black people do. This is what black people do.
While the mom recorded, the family's lawyer saying the son was listening.
This young man is seen visibly crying and upset when this teacher made the comment about how kids like him are raised to lie and to make up excuses. He's visibly seen crying on screen and running out the door.
The teacher resigning. The lawyer says the meeting was about getting the son up to speed in his science class.
He was an honors student before the pandemic, and once the transition to online happened, he had a lot of trouble accessing the Zoom platform because of internet issues.
This is not the first racist school Zoom outburst. Georgetown law professor Sandra Sellers recently firing off derogatory remarks about black students to another professor.
Get some really good ones, but there are also usually some that are just plain at the bottom. It drives me crazy.
Georgetown firing Sellers and promising change. As for Palmdale School District, they say they do not tolerate racial discrimination, but the family filing a claim against the district.
Every time from now on that this child and this mother have an issue at school, whether it's this school or any other school, they will think twice about going to anyone and asking for help.
The school says they've reached out to the family to offer counseling, but the lawyer says the family has lost faith in the staff and they fear blowback.
Racial slurs and offensive language spray painted on a woman's driveway.
It started last Wednesday.
Stacey Livingston claims that vandalism is just part of the threats and damage she's been experiencing at her home in Frisco. She says her telephone and cable lines were cut too.
He came to my door, kicking my door, and just talking really crazy.
Livingston and other witnesses say it's a neighbor on her street who's allegedly trespassing on her property and making the single mom the target of racist tirades and threats.
He's been walking up and down the street calling me.
And this video from another neighbor's home allegedly catching that man in action a few days ago. You can see the unidentified guy in the white shirt and dark pants approaching Livingston's home singing. At one point, he throws food on the woman's property. And while walking away, he's heard yelling N-words, gotta eat too. Then he calls the woman his slave.
I just feel unsafe and I don't feel protected.
Livingston says she's called Denton County Sheriff's Office to her home 4 times since Wednesday and spent a few days in a hotel. Neighbors have been calling police too.
She fears for her life, and she has valid reason to.
Blair Melmazi is Livingston's attorney. A spokesman from Denton County Sheriff's Office confirms the neighbor's been issued a criminal trespass warning. But Elmazi questions why more isn't being done.
An arrest and a transparent investigation needs to take place immediately. And we need to begin seeing results today.
Denton County Sheriff's Office says this remains an ongoing investigation. For now, supportive neighbors have helped pressure wash the driveway. Livingston and her lawyers say the NAACP is also getting involved. And some community organizers tell me they are prepared to help provide security for the neighbors should this behavior continue.
I'm right here. Are you going to get off the aircraft or are you going to sit there and scream? I'm just asking. Because it's going to be your turn.
I got
so
to
you
pee.
need to go.
I got to get off of here. Ma'am, I'm trying to...
You attack her.
You go out of here.
Excuse me, I work here, ma'am.
Well,
I need get off the aircraft, please.
Fuck my mama, nigga. Fuck my mama. Fuck your mama, nigga. Fuck your mama.
You're gonna pop him.
I live on 400 Oxford Avenue, 2 blocks away. And you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? I'm gonna walk to you. I'm gonna walk right to my house for you, bro. Oh God, I'm not trying to disrespect you, bro. I'm not. I'm gonna say nigga all day, every day. Are you kidding me? Where you from, nigga? Where you from? Where you from? Where the fuck you from? Yeah, nigga. You from here? Get the fuck out of here, you a clown, nigga. Oh God, you a clown, nigga. You from here? You a clown. What, you gonna smack me with that? Smack me with it. Smack me! Smack me, nigga. Come on, get it. Drop it.
Ooh. Yeah, you got yours, buddy.
Call me another fucking nigga. I don't give a fuck. Hey, man, you learned his lesson, man. Ain't no reason to be. Call me another nigga. Ain't no reason to find him out. Call me another fucking nigga.
Okay.
Good. You good now? You're good. I asked you not to call me a nigga.
I don't blame you, dude.
You're good.
Hey, I can do what I want.